Welcome to the Ace Capone Show. I am your host, Ace Capone. Welcome back. Once again, I have kept my word to you. I am making an effort to be on at least 2 to 3 times a week. But in the meantime, as always, hit the button to subscribe and the one for notifications. Share the video. Also, if you want to contribute, I have Cash App, my Buy Me a Coffee, and PayPal down below. Let's get into it. Man, been really staying disciplined every morning, running, working out, trying to get about 10 pounds off, trying to get this body into shape. Man, you feel it. You really do. When you're out there, you're running. I felt like my chest was about to explode. I did over a mile and a half today. Tomorrow is going to be leg and chest day. But I think as a man, if you're going to prepare yourself and also stay on your grind, you got to take care of yourself, because it's no good to be out there trying to become something without taking care of yourself. Enough of that. But today we're going to talk about President Trump. He had a little, he wasn't there, but there was a little bit of a skirmish going on over at Lago, and a gentleman entered the premises with a gas can and a shotgun and a rifle. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later, but right now we're going to talk about peace. And President Trump has established a board of peace. Is not to usurp the United Nations, even though it's a failed organization and it does the bidding of people who hate America, even though the UN is basically funded by the US, and it does, and it should do what we ask. He has established a board of peace, which has several countries involved. Let me get to it. President Trump holds his first board of peace meeting in D.C., calling it one of the most important and consequential things he's done. That was done on Thursday, November 19th. President Trump is gathered with representatives from more than 24 countries for the inaugural meeting of his board of peace at the newly renamed Donald J. Trump U.S. Institute of Peace in Washington, D.C. You know, Trump does so many things that the media just totally ignores. But this man is very essential to America. He has helped America grow. This man is going to be a figure in history that people are going to have to contend with. Even though they hate him, they're going to have to contend with him. We have the greatest leaders in the world joining the Board of Peace, Trump told reporters earlier this week before Thursday's meeting. I think it has the chance to be the most consequential board ever assembled of any kind. The board began as part of Trump's administration's 20-point peace plan to end the war in Gaza, though his vision for the board is far greater, believing it will help resolve conflicts around the world. And he is going to be known as the president of peace, no matter how much the media distorts with this racism, Hitler, Jeffrey Epstein. They throw everything they can against the wall to see if it sticks. Nothing's working, along with these bogus polls where they go to Democrat strongholds and ask people. The thing with polls, you don't know what they're asking. You don't know who they ask. You don't know where they ask. You don't know, if they ask multiple questions. The polls are only as good as the people that take them. So you take them with a grain of salt and say, you know what? As long as the people that I know are supporting the president, I don't care what the liberals are saying. Trump, the chairman, was joined by Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who had a hand in drawing up the Israel-Hamas ceasefire plan. Argentinian President Javier Milei, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet, and Hungary's Viktor Orban were among many leaders who represented their countries, also carrying a red USA hats at the meeting. Other countries in attendance include Belarus, Egypt, El Salvador, Israel, Jordan, Mongolia, Pakistan, Paraguay, and Vietnam. The Board of Peace is one of the most important and consequential things, I think, that I'll be involved in, Trump said in his opening remarks, while welcoming many countries that accepted his invitation. Trump also highlighted those who chose to decline, including Western powers such as Canada, they don't fight, France, who cares, and the United Kingdom, they're weak. Everybody, almost everybody's accepted, and the ones that haven't will be. And some are trying to playing a little cute. It doesn't work. You can't play cute with me, Trump said. But this is the most prestigious board ever put together. And I think that is absolutely true. He thanked the 9 countries which he announced had pledged, also thanked 9 countries which he announced had pledged a combined $7 billion to a Gaza relief package, assisting the original goals of the board. The package will be funded by Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, and the United Arab Emirates and Qatar. Every dollar spent in it is an investment in stability and the hope of new and harmonious region, Trump said. He also pledged $10 billion from the U.S. to the Board of Peace. You know, if this says anything, it says that we have a president who wants peace, who's actively seeking peace, and he's bringing people on board to make that peace happen. I don't know of anything that previous presidents have done to restore peace around the world. They've all been in charge of causing war, stirring up war. And it's President Trump who's out here saying, hey, there may be skirmishes, but we want peace. Let's get this stuff together. You know, let's stop ending lives. Sort of like this thing in Ukraine. He says, let's stop losing lives. Let's come to a conclusion. And even if you have to give up land you've lost, and this is the sticking point in Ukraine, they want back the land that they lost. You're not going to kill enemy combatants and get someone to offer you land that you lost. To the victor goes the spoils. And if you are a loser in a battle, you don't get to pick the concessions. You can't say, okay, we want our land back and you guys stay. No, it doesn't work that way. And Zelensky he's coming into these meetings in bad faith. You know you can't get those things to happen. So he knows there's never going to be a peace agreement if he's asking things that are impossible. And I'm sure it's the Democrats that are out there advising him to ask for ridiculous things that they know they can't have. And it's going to be a battle of attrition where you're going to have Zelensky holding out, hoping that another Democrat comes into power. Because if J.D. Vance or another Republican gets in office, Ukraine is cooked. By the time people are going to say, hey, you know what? This guy Zelensky is the wrong person to negotiate with, as Trump has alluded to, you'll just have to take him out. We're going to have to say, you know what? You sit down. You can't be trusted with negotiations. You got to go, man. We need this thing to be settled. Enough people are dying. You don't have a dog in the fight. You're flying around collecting money. You're not out there fighting. So why don't you get out of the way, get this thing settled so these people can have peace? It's not going to be perfect, especially on your case, on your side, because you're the loser. No matter how much the media hypes this thing up on Ukraine, they're losing. They're losing badly. And they're recruiting people because they don't have enough people to fight. No matter how much money you have, you can't win a losing battle. Speaking of a losing battle, you have down in Mexico, there was a gentleman named El Mencho. He was a cartel kingpin, and he was tracked down after going to a romantic partner's house. And Mexico's armed forces were aided by the U.S. All thanks to President Trump and his bid to fight the cartels where they are, and he first called them enemy combatants or terrorists, which basically gave the U.S. the green light to go after them. And right now, people in South America and Mexico, he said, hey, you guys all need to stop sending drugs to America. And he is holding fast to that commitment. Mexican authorities announced on Monday, this is from February the 23rd, that Nemesio Ruben Aceguera Cervantes, the exclusive leader of the new generation Jalisco cartel, known as El Mencho, was killed on Sunday during a high-stakes military operation in the western state of Jalisco. The mission, executed by the Mexican Army and the National Guard Special Forces, look at that, with crucial intelligence support from Washington, D.C., began on early Sunday morning. What that basically means that, hey, we did all the grunt work and we just pointed like, go kill. Go get rid of them. You can't say that on YouTube, I don't think. The mission executed by the Mexican Army, although U.S. support for the operation was extensive, here we go, it was strictly limited to non-kinetic roles, meaning American personnel provided the eyes and ears while Mexican forces pulled the trigger. Exactly. Basically, it's like, hey, you see that dude over there? Go get him. We did all the work. You just pull the trigger on that. And yeah, that's good. We'll collect the body. Although the operation marks an end of a multi-decade criminal career that began with 3 arrests and subsequent releases in California, look at that, during the 1980s and 1990s for drug dealing and illicit firearm possession. These people in liberal states get out of jail free. They're free to deal drugs, kill people with impunity. Democrats don't care about the law. They love chaos. The chaos that they can organize. As long as they can control the chaos, they don't care. They will let these people out in our streets to make money illegally. They will let these people out in the streets to hurt Americans. And the only thing they're going to say is thoughts and prayers. Following his final U.S. deportation in 1997, 80s all the way to the 90s, Cervantes, El Mencho, transformed a regional splinter group into a global empire, responsible for a third of the trafficked drugs entering the United States, according to federal authorities. A third of the trafficked drugs entering the United States. That guy had to have a crap load of money. Despite El Mencho having been reported dead several times in the past decade, once in 2012, once in 2015, and again in 2020, this is the first time the highest levels of both Mexican and U.S. governments have held joint press briefings to confirm his death. According to Mexico's Defense Department, the breakthrough discovery in the decade-long hunt for one of the world's most wanted drug traffickers came after intelligence agents, both foreign and domestic, successfully tracked one of Cervantes's suspected romantic partners to a secluded safe house near the town of Tapalta. The operation was the result of months of meticulous intelligence gathering and unprecedented cooperation with our international partners, Defense Minister Secretary Ricardo Trevilla stated. On Sunday, Mexican troops converged on a rural compound in the rugged terrain of Jalisco, a longtime stronghold of the CJNG. The raid quickly escalated into a prolonged gun battle as cartel gunmen unleashed heavy fire in an effort to protect their leader. During the initial breach of the perimeter, 8 gunmen were killed at the residence. Sure, U.S. didn't have any hand in that? As the operation continued, El Mencho and 2 bodyguards reportedly attempted to flee into a nearby wooded area. However, a second exchange of gunfire left all 3 seriously wounded. El Mencho later succumbed to his injuries while being transported by helicopter to Mexico City for medical treatment, Mexico's defense secretary explained. The death of 59-year-old Kingpin triggered an immediate and violent backlash across Mexico because these guys basically run Mexico. Mexico is a cartel-run country. It is out of control. It is crime-ridden. And something needs to be done about these guys selling drugs. A series of now viral online videos show alleged cartel members carrying out narco bloqueos, coordinated roadblocks using torch buses and trucks across at least 20 Mexican states. Authorities also confirmed the death of Hugo Cesar Macias Urina, also known as El Tuli, a top CNG lieutenant who reportedly organized the retaliatory attacks and placed bounties on the lives of Mexican soldiers. Man, talk about having a country that's in total disarray. You just can't make this stuff up. To live in a country that is basically driven by crime and drugs, you can't have a stable country. You can't, basically, how do you take care of the people? You can't submit to drug dealers. Drug dealers don't run countries. They run chaos. And the fact that you have so many people in Mexico out here living in chaos, and there's no way that these people can have a good, valid quality of life. And thanks to President Trump, and hats off to U.S. military for their reconnaissance and their logistics and getting the job done. Trump is getting rid of the criminals, and the Democrats basically help the drug traffickers, the human traffickers, the abducted people who are abducting children. When Trump came into office, children were being found. The border was shut. Now you have drug dealers that are being taken out, and it's going past the media as if nothing's going on. The media is not even talking about this stuff. If they say anything, it's basically they're defending the criminals. It's like when they're blowing up these boats carrying, these speedboats carrying drugs, they're worried about the criminals. If people are fighting with ICE, they don't care about ICE. They're worried about the criminals because they are a criminal organization. They love criminality. They love the chaos because once you establish chaos, then you can basically maneuver the people into submission. But despite having all of these people who are hurting Americans, Donald Trump, once again, comes to the rescue. He has declared a day for National Angel Family Day to honor victims of illegal alien crime. Look at that. I tell you, this man, the hits keep coming and coming. In a somber ceremony held in the White House East Room on Monday, which was February the 23rd, Donald Trump signed a proclamation officially designating February 22nd as National Angel Family Day. The day was chosen to coincide with the second anniversary of the death of Laken Riley, a 22-year-old Georgia nursing student who was murdered by an illegal alien in 2024. At the time, Riley's death quickly drew national attention, becoming a defining and emotionally charged case in the broader debate over immigration enforcement and border security. And this is why we have ICE rooting out the illegals who are criminals, as well as people who are here illegally in general. And it's funny how the Democrats love to control the narrative by saying, oh, he's not only getting the criminals, he's getting other people. Well, if you enter the country illegally, we don't know who you are. We don't know what you've done. We don't know if you're planning anything. So yes, you have to go after people who are here illegally because they haven't been vetted. It reads, I, Donald Trump, President of the United States, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, hereby proclaim February 22nd as National Angel Family Day. The Sunday proclamation, which was announced on Monday, aims to honor angel families who have lost loved ones to crimes committed by individuals in the country illegally and to draw attention to the administration's hardline border security agenda. On the National Angel Family Day, we remember and honor thousands of Americans whose lives stolen from us by criminal illegal aliens and the deadly drugs they bring across our borders. We stand with the angel families, many of whom continue to be left without justice, and we recommit to carry out the largest mass deportation effort in our nation's history, getting the worst of the worst out of our country and putting a stop to the violence targeting the brave men and women of law enforcement. Every year, thousands of American citizens are victimized by dangerous and criminal illegal aliens, often sent here by their home countries to get them out of their prisons and off their own streets. After returning to office, I received a letter from a New York City police officer that filled the First Lady and me with tremendous sadness and anger. He wrote to the White House about one of the most unconscionable of these derelictions in recent memory, the murder of Laken Riley. The White House proclamation began. Surrounded by the administration officials, law enforcement, and dozens of family members carrying photos of deceased relatives, President Donald Trump described the victims as great Americans whose real stories had been censored and suppressed by previous Democratic administrations and the mainstream media. Ever so true. The media doesn't like to talk about American losses. They don't like to talk about crime done by illegals, nor the crime committed by minorities. The media loves to steer the narrative to make everything racist, everything homophobic, everything xenophobic, but they never tell you the truth. They're always telling you a story, but they're never telling you the story. The ceremony featured moving testimonies from several prominent Angel family members. Allison Phillips, the mother of Laken Riley, offered a poignant thanks to President Trump for ensuring her daughter's memory leads to lasting change. She was joined by Stephen Roenick, who spoke of his son Grant's 2015 murder in Arizona, and Lori Wilkerson, who shared the harrowing story of her son Joshua's death in 2010, all committed by illegal aliens. And this is sad because these people are protected by the Democrats in their sanctuary cities, and there has to be an end to this. American life matters. Being an American should matter. It should mean something to be American. We need to bring back nationalism. I don't care what the liberals call it. It's not white supremacy. It's saying, hey, I live in America. I love America. I enjoy America. I want to keep it American. Have borders. And liberals understand this. This is why they are so pro-illegal. This is why they're so pro-crime. And they come out saying that no one is illegal on stolen land. This land isn't stolen. We've been here forever. people have contributed to this land. Even the people who you say it was stolen from contribute from this government. You can't sit and say everything in America is bad, but you're benefiting from it. Why do people come to America? Because they understand this is the land of opportunity. And if you are out here wasting your time trying to tell everyone how bad it is, maybe you should go somewhere else. Because this isn't the place for you. If you can't appreciate the freedoms that are offered to us, you should maybe go to another place that feels better to you. Because they're always citing other places. Well, why don't you go to those places? Maybe they don't like foreigners. That's probably why you can't go there. Or maybe they don't have jobs for you. Or maybe it's just too far away for you to go. So somehow, maybe shut up and enjoy the freedoms that you're afforded here, because there are men and women who died for that freedom. Instead of marching and protesting, why don't you contribute to the country? Instead of, creating Marxist, socialist, and communist ideologies to spread to the people, or gaining access to our government and trying to turn us into a communist society. Last thing, as I said before in the beginning, we're going to talk about Mar-a-Lago, because you had a gentleman breach the fence at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Secret Service, I just don't know. How do you get a job there? Because obviously they're taking anybody. It reads, an armed man killed by authorities trying to enter Trump Mar-a-Lago club. Secret Service agents at a Palm Beach sheriff's deputy fatally shot a man carrying a shotgun and a gas canister as he tried to enter Mar-a-Lago club owned by President Trump. Trump, who maintains residence at Mar-a-Lago, was at the White House at the time of the shooting. The man who was shot has been identified as 21-year-old Austin Martin Tucker of North Carolina, according to an FBI statement. Authorities fatally shot a man who was carrying a shotgun and a gas canister as he tried to enter President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Florida early Sunday morning. Trump was at the White House at the time of the incident. The president maintains a residence at Mar-a-Lago and frequently dines and hosts events at the Palm Beach Club. The history of Palm Beach is very interesting too. It was basically built. It's a built-up place from a sandbar, and they filled it in, and they had a bunch of African Americans at the time come and build it, and they had homes around there, and they somehow all the homes were burned after they finished building these little mansions that were there. Interesting story. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. The man was shot by Secret Service agents and Palm Beach County Sheriff deputy at around 1:30 a.m. Man, he was out there real early. After entering the secure perimeter around Mar-a-Lago near its north gate and then raising the shotgun at an officer, authorities said. The man who was shot had been identified as 21-year-old Austin Martin Tucker of North Carolina, according to FBI statement on Sunday. The Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw told reporters at a press conference on Sunday that a deputy and 2 Secret Service agents on the detail went to that area to investigate. They confronted a white male. They always tell you who it is. If they wouldn't have said it was a white male, it was somebody else. Was carrying a gas can and a shotgun, Bradshaw said. He was ordered to drop those 2 pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. Now, how smart can you be? Maybe he was trying to end his life with death by cop. At that point in time, deputy and the 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapon and neutralized the threat. Hallelujah. That's what happens. The FBI is investigating the incident. Secret Service acted quickly and decisively to neutralize a crazy person armed with a gun and a gas canister who intruded President Trump's home, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in an X post. She also knocked Democrats over the partial government shutdown, which impacted the Department of Homeland Security, which houses the Secret Service. It's shameful and reckless that Democrats have chosen to shut down their department, Levitt said. The DHS has been shuttered for more than a week. Democrats are demanding changes to how the department conducts immigration enforcement operations before agreeing to fund the agency after the 2 citizens were shot and killed by federal agents in Minneapolis. The Democrats are fighting a losing cause. These people who are protesting are paid agitators. They are trained to agitate. These people are out here because they are told to be out there. One lady who lost her life came back from Canada, dropped her kid off, and proceeded to go and block traffic. If that's not an agent of chaos, she's not an innocent victim. She is a person looking for a problem. The other gentleman was out there fighting with police, came with a gun. And they're trying to make a big deal about the gun. The simple fact of the matter is, if you were thinking you were going to tussle with the cops, why would you bring a gun? Because it's not going to end pretty for you. And it didn't end pretty for him. And now the Democrats are out there crying about it. You don't take a weapon to a protest unless you're willing to use it. Now, if he was able to pull that weapon, if he would have fired off shots at the ICE agents and would have hit one of them, what would the media say then? What would the Democrats say then? They don't care about the lives of people who aren't on their agenda. Everyone is expendable if you're not on the Democrat agenda, if you're not towing the party line. There has to be a reckoning that says, in a labeling of the Democrats as a terrorist group in this country. They're not a political party. They are a terrorist group. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all these wackos that they are out here indoctrinating with Trump derangement syndrome, they are a threat to our society. They're violent. You have these transsexuals out here offing people. Why are they even allowed to get guns? If you have a mental disability, why are you allowed to get a weapon? These people don't even know who they are. Why would you give them a weapon? And now they're out here committing mass shootings. Something has to be there. Congress needs to get off their backsides and start to address the things that are happening in this country to correct the problems. They're not correcting the problems. They're out here contributing to the problems. You have too many people who are paid by these outside sources that aren't doing the job. You have people they're giving you a lot of lip service, but they're not handling the needs of the people. And we need a reckoning with Congress as well. There's another thing. It was talking about Epstein, this Austin Tucker Martin, 21 shot and killed after breaching security. The thing is, all these guys look alike. You know, it's like that Ryan Ruth and this guy, Austin Tucker Martin, you know, they're skinny guys, they're pasty looking. They look like they're a bunch of some guys that don't have a lot of friends. And they're like, sort of like loners. And the fact that these guys are out there willing to risk their lives, I promise you, something's going on. I don't trust it. I think these guys are out here. I think they're being pushed to do these things because just like the one in, was that Indiana? The guy got up on a roof and the police were there. They didn't see him climb up on the roof. And he was, no, that wasn't, that wasn't Indiana. I'll get it right in a second. But when the gentleman got up on the roof and shot at Trump and nicked him in the ear, this guy was able to enter the perimeter unchecked, get on a roof with a shotgun, with a rifle, and to fire off shots. And the fact of the matter is that he was not seen. Secret Service and the police didn't do their job. Who's vetting these people? You know, usually you're going to be looking at people that are coming around. You're going to watch all the buildings to make sure no one's climbing up. No one saw this guy get up on the roof. And the cops are right there, right next to the building. You didn't see the guy get up there. And they said, oh, we didn't want to put anybody up there because it was too hot. So you risk the life of the president because it's too hot. Well, people were sitting out in the stands. It wasn't too hot for them. Early Sunday morning, Martin breached security at Mar-a-Lago, the home of private club of Donald Trump, was shot and killed in the by the United States Secret Service. Authorities said Martin was armed with a shotgun and a gas can and reported he assumed a shooting position before being shot. That's a little different story now, isn't it? He was confronted by local police and Secret Service agents on the Palm Beach property. He was ordered to drop 2 pieces of equipment and he had with him, in which time he put down the gas can and raised a shotgun in a shooting position. Rick Bradshaw, sheriff of Palm Beach County, said at that point, deputies and 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat. He is deceased at the scene. Pack 'em and bag 'em. None of the officers were injured. And here's this thing that I found. According to TMZ, Martin had exchanged unusual messages with a co-worker in the days before the incident, mentioning the Epstein files unprompted. And TMZ is nothing but a bunch of hype. I don't know if you read up on the Epstein files, but evil is real and unmistakable, Martin wrote. He added, the best people like you and I can do is use what little influence we have. Tell other people about what you hear about the Epstein files and what the government is doing about it. The government's doing nothing about it because there are too many high-profile people involved with Epstein, and they're not going to tell you about him being a Mossad agent. They're not going to tell you anything about Israel's role with Epstein, and they're not going to tell you about how Epstein got his money or his island or his apartment or his ability to get information from politicians. Epstein is embedded in this country like a tick. And I'm sorry, there's going to be another Epstein. It's not about the sex. Everyone's trying to deflect to the sex. Epstein is more about influence in this country and our politics than sex. Sex is important, but it's not as important as his ability to influence our politicians and our financial sector. The fact that you have people in finance and government that love sex, that are addicted to sex, that's one thing, but that's not the most important thing. Yeah, you can have tapes of people to blackmail them, but the most important thing is how he influenced our politics. He was funding people, and people do things for funding. You have to do favors for this funding. Those are the things that are important. What did he have people do? What information did they have to give him? This man was very intelligent. He was not some run-of-the-mill, bozo. When you listen to him, he's a very personable guy. I'm not bragging about the guy, but I'm just saying he's a very regular, personable guy. It's not like you would meet Epstein and be like, oh, this guy is terrible. Oh my God, he's a monster. No, that's not how he comes off at all. He comes off as some regular dude you would hang out with, maybe drink a beer or smoke a cigar with, and just have a good laugh. So if he was a monster, he wouldn't have been able to attract all of these foreign dignitaries. He wouldn't have been able to attract these weirdos in Hollywood. He wouldn't have been able to give them what they wanted. I'm not sure everything that went on that island. Maybe people just went there to hang out. Maybe it was just a good spot, the good hangout spot for all the celebrities. If you went to the island, you were somebody. I'm not going to say that everything was sinister, because maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was. I don't know. No one knows. If they knew, they wouldn't have to ask questions. They wouldn't have to be digging through the files. But the simple fact of the matter is this man had influence. He had money. Money and influence is more important than talking about what kind of sex someone was having. It's a distraction. Leave it alone. You need to find out who he was paying, who he met with, what were they talking about, what did he want them to do, what did they do for him. Those are the most important things. And what in the heck did Israel have to do with Epstein? And what did Israel want Epstein to do? Israel has too much influence in the American government. This is America. This isn't Israel. This country isn't ran by a religion. This country isn't ran by Israel. They may have influence all over our country. I say it's too much influence. They're in every sector of our country and in every area of our country of influence. They have a lot of influence and they have a lot of money. And Hollywood is a good example of that because everybody in Hollywood is somehow of the same religion, making a lot of money, with or without talent. And think about that. You have a lot of people in Hollywood with no talent, but they're making a lot of money. And they're being bounced around to different shows to collect a lot of money. And then they come out in their award shows, which is gloat shows, to tell you what you should think and how you should feel about what's going on in America. His cousins, Braden Fields, told the Associated Press that most of his family were supporters of Donald Trump. According to the Fields, violence was out of character for him. He wouldn't hurt an ant. He didn't even know how to use a gun, Fields said. And this is what pushes me to say, these guys come out of nowhere and just want to bring guns to facilities. You know, something's fishy. You know, the last guy that got up on the roof, he was in a video from BlackRock, but he worked at a nursing home. How does a guy from a nursing home get into a BlackRock video? And all of a sudden you want to shoot at the president? And this guy just comes out of nowhere and he wants to just mosey on to the property with a shotgun and a gas can. What are you going to do with the gas can? What are you doing with the shotgun? You don't think you're going to meet any resistance? There's more to this thing than meets the eye. Authorities have not confirmed a motive. I'm sure you won't. Police released a photo of the shotgun Martin allegedly carried and urged residents to check their security cameras for any footage of him. These security cameras are very scary because now you have people, they're keeping track of things around your home. They're tracking your movement, and they can pull that information up anywhere. But also, where'd the guy get the gun? If they said he didn't know how to use the gun, where did he get a gun? These are important questions. Where'd the guy get the gun? Interesting. Donald Trump and Melania Trump were at the White House at the time of the incident. The investigation is ongoing. And I tell you, there's so much garbage going on in our country. We don't know who's here. We don't know what they're doing. And we have a media that's uninterested in facts. They're into sensationalism. They're into distorting facts or omitting facts for their own agenda. But hopefully, after some digging is done, I don't even know if the FBI or the Secret Service or Secret Service are really going to find anything. And if you're in on it, do you really want to find anything? Because I don't trust the Secret Service. And, you know, the FBI is tainted as well. And some of these guys are loyal to the Democrat Party. They don't want to know anything. As long as they can hurt Trump, that's their main objective. You know, and they've been trying for a while. They couldn't stop him from running for president. And this which goes back to the Epstein files. If you had something on the president, you would have pulled that all out of the Epstein files. If you're so certain Epstein was all in with Trump, then you had the files for 4 years. You didn't go digging through it to find out anything? Now you want the files to be exposed. But you had 4 years to expose them. Makes you think logically like you don't have anything. You're just smearing the guy just to put the specter of doubt out there. So, hey, but let me know what you think. Drop me a line. And until then, this is Ace Capone. Peace. And I'm gone.